Each year, thousands of leaders, innovators, and forward thinkers gather at Workday Rising to explore what's next in the changing world of work. We've unlocked the vaults on our most impactful conversations, and we're bringing them directly to you. We dove deep into the strategies and insights shaping our collective future, so prepare to be inspired, challenged, and empowered to make a change. This is the Future of Work podcast, recorded live at Workday Rising.
Hello and welcome back to Workday Rising broadcast. I am Josh Tarr, Director of Skills-Based Organization here at Workday, and I am joined by the one and only Sarah Jo Rowley, Associate HR Technology Director at Dow. We are here to talk about the hottest topic at Rising, how AI is transforming work and the skills we all need to lead it. Sarah Jo, I know you go by SJ, so SJ, officially, welcome to Rising.
Thanks, Josh. I'm so excited to be here.
Well, we're excited to have this conversation with you. So we'll start with a big question. So how is Dow transforming work using AI, and what's that mean for the role of HR?
Yeah, thanks for asking. So I want to start out by saying, Dow is a 128-year-old company. We are a leading material science company. We are focused on chemical manufacturing. And really, when we think about what is HR trying to do for Dow when it comes to AI, is really focus in on how to enable them to be that. We're not a tech company. So we're really focused in how do we support the organization to be the best version of themselves, right? And we can't talk about our AI journey without talking about skills.
Right.
And I think everyone's kind of talking about skills. When we think about the impact that skills has had in the organization, that was really our catalyst for having the AI conversation, because all of the features that are available to us from an AI perspective within the Workday tenant that we own. And what we do that really by leaning into our overall systems as a service model, making sure that we're leveraging the contract and the features that are available to us to bring value back to Dow. One of the things that we talk about is that we're in our adoption era. And I had a friend say, Sarah Jo, this is our year of adoption. And I said, this is so much bigger than that. We are literally in our adoption era when it comes to the systems that we use to power the enterprise.
Yeah, I think we're all in our adoption era. You mentioned Dow's great legacy, and I know that part of that legacy is deeply rooted in your culture, and deeply rooted in your culture is a focus on governance and good governance. And that's actually where you all started this journey. So tell us why that was so important.
Yeah. So I want to start out by saying that, I don't know that anybody really, when it comes to AI and our journey and where we're going, I'm not sure that anybody really knows what that looks like. And so we're all kind of trying to figure this out. And what I like to remind people is, no one's done it better, right? Because no one's ever done it before.
Yeah.
And I think we have to recognize that those of us that are trying to move that forward are doing so kind of blindly, but having to rely on our experience and instincts and our trusted relationships with our vendors to determine what our next steps are. Part of our philosophy is when we're trying to do something new is we lean into those core parts of our DNA. HR technology has always been really focused on being ethical and compliant and responsible in how we use our technology, human-centered, meaning we're not trying to automate really impactful decisions, trying to keep people at the center of that, and really leaning in when we move to a SaaS approach, leaning into the fact that what we bought with that was innovation, right? And knowing that we didn't have to go out to the market for everything to determine what it was that we should be focusing on. You buy some of that thought leadership right within that contract. So committing to that with those core parts of our DNA, and also, doing things safely, responsibly, and at pace, that's the right pace for our enterprise is really important. Part of that is also recognizing that we have exceptional partnerships across our organization. So HR can't do those things alone. We have to depend on our relationships with IT, functional HR, of course, but also our IT partners. We have an exceptional partnership with our IT team, legal, data protection, our country relationships, trying to be able to advance some of those advanced features within countries that maybe have more restrictions. And that really socializing with them where we wanted to go and what we wanted to do is a big, I say it in past tense, but like we're constantly doing this. So those things all came really naturally to us because those were things that we were already doing. So when you're doing it for AI, if you've already got that foundation of governance framework, we're really just applying it to a new approach and new advanced technology. We're also really committed to focusing on globally consistent experiences. Super challenging to do that though, right? There's differing legal landscapes to navigate, differing requirements for different audiences, but we focus in on our reputation as, a trusted and transparent HR organization to really move those things forward.
Yeah, so many good things you said there, from the focus on innovation to your partnership across the organization, having a global mindset. And what that really speaks to me about is culture. And it sounds like you really approached AI transformation by looking at what's going to be right for your culture. And so I want to ask you about culture. A lot of companies are approaching AI as a productivity play.
Yeah.
But I know you think about it differently. And one of the big things you've been doing is influencing leaders at Dow to think about it differently too. So tell us about that.
Yeah. For the HR function, I think the easy play is productivity gains. I think that's what everybody's talking about. What I think as a human being is it's really hard to get people excited about technology that they think might replace them, for example. And, transparently, I'm not sure that I can get excited about that. I think what we need to think about is how does that elevate us to the next level? And how does that free us up and really unshackle us from work that we already didn't like doing, that really task-oriented, pretty unfulfilling work, right? And if we activate AI and AI agents, are they able to release us from that work so that we can focus on things that are really fulfilling and work that is meaningful, right? And so that we can focus on, take a recruiter, for example. I'm not a talent acquisition practitioner, but I empathize the work that they're trying to move through and how many tasks that actually have to be executed through that hiring process. And when I think about that, I think about how do we free them from those tasks? And our leadership team is talking about how do we go from recruiting to talent advisors, right? Really focusing on judgment, strategy activation, and really giving them the ability to free up time to have relationships, right? With the hiring managers and the organizations that they're trying to serve. I think the other thing is that productivity is the catalyst. Like I said, especially for your C-suite, productivity is the catalyst, but I think leveling everyone up is the reason to go forward.
Leveling up, and you brought up TA. I led TA at one point in my career. Didn't go too well, and I could have been leveled up. So as we think about this leveling up concept, and I think it's a really powerful one, how do you see workers gaining the skills to level up? What skills do they need to level up? And then how is Dow enabling them to do that?
Yeah. So I think this is a journey, right? So we're just starting to embark on this. And what does that mean? And how do we allow people to shift to that mindset? And part of that is an overall managerial mindset, right? If you are being accountable, so if you're going to leverage agents or AI in your work process, you're going to be accountable for that, right? And so how do we, what skills do we need to be able to support people to actually be managers of those agents? Is that auditing, understanding as an architect of feedback, right, within your flow of work and focusing on those skills, building judgment, empathy, and influencing skills, right? Those are things that an AI agent can't do. And I think those are becoming more critical as we level up. When we think about skills overall in this space, there's a bit of self-advocacy here, right? Like there's a bit of self-accountability where you have to want it too. So people can make recommendations on how to glean those skills or how to build those skills. But you've got to want it and put in the effort. I don't think there's a handbook available to us today that says, here's how I can be a good steward of AI, or here's how I can be a good manager of agentic AI, right? I think we're all trying to figure this out, but making sure that you're showing up in a way that allows you to be a good adapter, I think is also an important skill going forward.
So it sounds like it kind of goes two ways. So the organization and especially leadership need to think about how they put humans at the center of this transformation. And then what we all need to do as employees is really lean in and advocate for ourselves and really drive our own journey too.
Yeah, for sure. And keep talking, right? That's how we grow, is to keep the conversation going and know that we might have to pivot.
Yeah. One of the best things that we've done so far, I think, is use these like peer-to-peer connections. We've had this big AI upskilling effort at Workday, internal to Workday, called Everyday AI. And one of the things that's helping most is getting peers teaching and learning from each other. Are you all finding that like peer-to-peer connection important?
Absolutely. There's little pockets of the organization that are working together to learn and upskill each other. There's like Teams groups that you can join and get little tidbits, those types of things. But I use Copilot a lot also to tell when I don't know how to prompt something, to help me, work through how do I prompt something to get to the answer that I'm looking for.
What's one of your favorite recent prompts?
Well, actually, my favorite recent prompt was, please summarize my week as if I was a superhero. And it came back that I was the Black Widow. So,
Naturally.
Yes, exactly. So that was pretty impressive, but it was a fun prompt and good way to end a busy, challenging week.
Yeah, I like that. I'm going to have to use that. I'll tell you what superhero.
Yeah, okay. Sounds good.
With me. So you all are fully invested on this journey. I'm really curious on what's next for your strategy.
Yeah, I think activate the plan, right? But be change ready at the same time, meaning we don't know what we don't know. So we can't be so committed to the plan that we can't pivot when new functionality or new services become available to us. I think that's part of it. I think recognizing that the change is going to come. We're in a place where it's never changed this fast in this amount of time, right? And I think committing to the fact that we bought a lot of the innovation through our enterprise SaaS vendors like Workday will help guide us through that. So we don't want to lose sight of that. I think the other thing is kind of this conceptual moonshot. So we've been live on Workday for almost 6 years now. And, we've made substantial progress incrementally. But when we want to start talking about transformation, what does that moonshot look like? And how do we turn those incremental changes into meaningful work that supports our operational backbone, where maybe there is more opportunity to accelerate, but also being focused on what percentage of our time should we be spending on our strategic bets? I mean, I would say skills is one of our strategic bets, and that took years to work through. And I don't think that journey is going to end in the near term, because I think we're still figuring out what that looks like.
Yeah.
But overall, moonshot, the great thing about moonshots is that you don't know what to expect, but as long as you're brave enough to explore that, I think the risk is definitely worth the reward.
Yeah, couldn't agree more. All right, there are a lot of other HR technology leaders that are going to be watching this. I'd love if you give them your one piece of advice to lead this kind of transformation.
Yeah, my leader has shown me that HR technology is equal parts trust and grit. And that has really allowed me to kind of elevate, leading by example by saying that we are listening, learning, and leading with humility. And when we're in transformational times, those transformational moments require grace and tolerance. And not only for ourselves, but for the people we're working with and the people that we support. And so I think that's just really important, is granting that tolerance and grace along the journey.
Yep. Trust, grace, tolerance, bravery. Those are all qualities that I know you demonstrate, and I've seen that. And you are a really exemplary leader that we can all follow too.
Thanks, Josh.
Yeah, thanks so much for having this conversation, SJ. It was so insightful and thoughtful. And I can bet that our viewers enjoyed it and want more of it. So if you want to hear more from me and other HR leaders like SJ on skills in the future of work, be sure to subscribe to the Future of Work podcast. Stay with us.